So you've decided to run some Facebook ads campaigns. You hop in Business Manager, click Create, and the first thing you're presented with is this list of 11 different campaign objectives. That can be a little bit overwhelming if you're not quite as familiar with the Facebook ads interface, if you're not sure what each one of them do. So today what I want to run through are each of the different options, what they are best for, maybe give you some tips for each one of them to help take a little bit of stress out of that decision. So hopping into the full creation process, like I said, the first thing when you start off creating a new campaign is you're going to be presented with this list of 11 different options of campaign objective that you want to go with. I'm going to go through each of these individually, and we're going to go through a number of the different steps on the left over here because there are a lot of them that can be quite different depending on the campaign objective that you choose. So I'm going to go through each of those, and then I'm going to try to give some best and worst case scenarios for each of these different campaign objectives to hopefully help you figure out which ones are going to be the right one. The first thing to know is that Facebook tries to set these up in such a way that lend themselves to the marketing funnel. Whenever somebody ends up being introduced to your brand, that's kind of the awareness stage or sort of top of funnel, then as they move down and kind of get to know you a little bit better, they're in this consideration phase in the middle. And then as they get further down and they eventually decide to work with you, purchase from you, what have you, we're going to end up using this conversion action campaign group. The first thing to know that I will say as the biggest caveat for all of these is that these don't always match perfectly with what you want. There are going to be some instances and some case studies where conversions might be the right campaign type to get you the brand awareness that you want. Maybe video views is going to give you some conversions as opposed to consideration. Don't let Facebook paint you too much into a box with what each of these campaign objectives are. And I'll try to talk through some of those as they come up, but there are so many different use cases for these that it's going to be quite frankly impossible for me to cover all of them. So just keep in mind that although these do have the Facebook standard uses for each of these, that doesn't mean that there isn't a use case to use it in a little bit different way. So get creative as we're going through this, but I'm going to go through literally every one of these start to finish, and let's go ahead and start off with the brand awareness campaign type. When I click on that, pops me down to the bottom, and you can see that brand awareness campaigns are meant to reach people more likely to pay attention to your ads and increase awareness for your brand. Sounds pretty reasonable, right? One of the things that we'll need to keep in mind at this stage is that Facebook will always give you a rundown of what a campaign type is supposed to do here, and then there will always be these two sections that it'll allow you to customize. Most campaigns will let you create an A/B test. I'm just going to do the example here, and then we won't talk about it the rest of the time. I won't repeat it. So if you create an A/B test, if you flip that on, now you can choose the variable that you want, whether it's creative, audience, placement. This campaign type actually has one less option than some of the other ones. There is an additional option that you can have here, but this is how you create a campaign test between these. If we want to turn that off, what we preset to earlier, you saw that I already turned it off, was campaign budget optimization. This is up to you whether you want to use your budget at a campaign level or an ad set level. Pretty much all of the campaigns will give you the option here. All of these should be pretty self-explanatory, but let's go ahead and start going through the additional pieces of a brand awareness campaign. And I want to start off by going into the ad set section. Here you'll set your target audience just the way you do with all of your other campaigns. You can then scroll down and start to adjust the placements that are here. For a brand awareness campaign, you'll see that there is no audience network, but most of the other options are available. And then once we get down into what it's going to optimize for, this is something that we'll need to pay attention to for all the different campaign types. Optimization in a brand awareness campaign is going to be for ad recall lift. And you can see that I can't edit this. This is the only option that's available. What I want to do is hop into PowerPoint and talk about what ad recall lift is real quick. If you've seen anything like a brand lift study, this ad recall lift metric is going to be relatively similar to that. So what this means is that Facebook is going to serve ads to as many people as it thinks are going to recall your message. Again, it'll serve the ad to them a couple times. And then for a number of people, it'll serve them a survey here where it can ask if you've seen the ad before or seen this brand before. They can choose yes, no, not sure. And that metric is going to eventually show Facebook whether people are recalling your ad or not. And they're going to try and optimize toward the people who are recalling the ad and try and optimize away from the people who aren't. They do say that this is an estimated metric, so just keep in mind this is something that is still in development. It's not a perfect science just yet, but this is what it's going to look like from a user perspective, and then a little bit more insight about ad recall lift itself. Hopping back in, next thing is for cost control. Facebook will aim to get the most ad recall lift and spend your entire budget. So it is going to try and spend your whole budget and get as much recall lift as it possibly can through those surveys or some of those expected metrics that they have coming through that we just discussed. Down here below, you can see the show more options section, and this is where we can choose when you get charged, the ad scheduling, and delivery type. All of these are pretty much set in stone. The when you get charged, you're going to get charged per impression. Ad scheduling only works if you use lifetime budgets, which you can find another video that we have already had around Facebook budget types. And then delivery here is always going to be standard. You can't change that with this campaign type. So now let's look at the ad formats that are available for this campaign. Depending on the campaign type that you choose in Facebook, you will have limited numbers of ad formats available, and this is one of those. Brand awareness campaigns only let you use a carousel ad, a single image or video ad, and you can also add an instant experience onto it. You can create a new ad, you can use existing post, or you can use the Creative Hub mockup here, but you'll notice that there are some missing. You cannot use a collection ad, any of that sort of thing here, so just keep in mind that for ad format, you are limited to just carousel and single image for this brand awareness campaign. And then the rest of this, I'm not going to scroll through it, but you would basically set up your ads, the tracking, the language, media, all that stuff in exactly the same way you would for any other regular Facebook ad. Lastly, let's hop back into PowerPoint to look at some good use cases and potential downfalls of the brand awareness campaign type. Larger brands are probably going to get the most benefit out of this brand awareness piece. They're probably going to have a lot more people who are able to engage. They'll be able to have a higher recall rate. And it's also something where trying to get ads out in front of people with a brand awareness campaign, it ends up being kind of a mass market play, and it's probably not going to be as suited to somebody who's on a smaller budget and really trying to drive results. But if you have a really big budget, this could be a good option for you. It does repeat ads to certain users, so if you're trying to generate brand awareness, it kind of seems counterintuitive to serve ads to the same people. But again, that's how Facebook is going to come up with that ad recall lift metric and try and optimize and get better. Overall, this is probably a better suit for larger brands like McDonald's, somebody that's kind of a household name. Next, I want to talk about reach campaigns. These are also in this awareness stage and are meant to drive more impressions to a new audience. It's meant to build this brand awareness for your campaigns. Just has a little bit of a different optimization action. So once we choose the reach campaign type, the description here is show your ad to the maximum number of people. And I'll elaborate on that here in just a second. But just like the other brand awareness campaign type, you can see that we can create an A/B test, campaign budget optimization. I know I said I wasn't going to go through this again, but for the create A/B test, now we have all 4 optimization actions here, and delivery optimization is the 4th action that is not available in brand awareness campaigns. So if you want to do a test for the delivery optimization action, brand awareness is not going to be your campaign objective of choice. But for now, let's turn this off and hop back into normal creation. So next I want to talk about the audience and ad set settings. So let's hop over there. Just like with the brand awareness campaign and all other campaign types, you can set up your custom audience the way that you would like in a reach campaign. You can set up locations, age, gender, detailed targeting, all that kind of stuff. The biggest thing I want to point out with reach campaigns is that Facebook's main goal is to serve an ad to literally everybody that you have in this audience here. So right now it's defaulting to everybody in the United States, so that's 230 million people. If we chose a reach campaign for this, Facebook's only goal would be to serve an ad to every single one of those users. In every other campaign type, Facebook is going to optimize its ad impressions to the users that it thinks are going to either take your conversion action, engage with your post, the people who are more likely to respond to one of your ads, something along those lines. Reach is not that same type of campaign. The only goal it has is to serve an impression to everybody in your target audience, whether they are a high value user or not. So that is a big differentiator for the reach campaign compared to all others, and you want to keep that in mind when you're setting up this campaign type because it can lend itself to better situations than others. So in this instance, it might make sense to try and use this for a local business where you're trying to reach as many people as possible in a very targeted area. But if you're targeting a larger area and there's a lot of people that might not be interested in what you're selling, or if your target audience isn't as specific as you might like, this is probably not the campaign type for you. As we keep working through our ad set, let's check out the placements that are available. For a reach campaign, all of the placements are available: Facebook, Audience Network, Instagram, and you can check the box next to Messenger. I'm not sure why that's unchecked here. All of them are available for the reach campaign. Then when we get into budget and scheduling, the optimization is going to optimize for reach, but you can edit this. So you can change it from reach to impressions. They'll basically deliver your ads to people as many times as they possibly can, which in some instances might be a good thing, but odds are you're probably going to eventually just max out on people, and you're probably going to irritate them by getting way too many impressions for them. So for now, we're just going to leave this as reach. Once you decided what you want your ad delivery optimized for, you can then set bid controls, budget, and schedule just like you would on any other campaign. But I do want to show you one thing in this show more options section that is unique to the reach campaigns on Facebook. And that is this first thing right here, which is the frequency cap. You can see that it's default to 1 impression every 7 days. So if you have this frequency cap here, that means that each person in your target audience will only see your ad, only get 1 impression of your ad. Whether they see it or not, that's a different story, every 7 days. This is a great way to control how often people see your ad, especially if Facebook is trying to get as many impressions as possible, trying to reach the largest number of people. This is also a really good use case for a remarketing campaign where you're not necessarily as concerned about conversion actions, which sometimes that's a thing. You're just trying to get back in front of people, but you want to control the frequency that you have. So this can be a great option for that if you want to make sure that you've got a good control here. You can edit this, and Facebook will let you choose whatever number of impressions you want over whatever number of day period, so it is highly customizable. Then you're going to be charged by impression. You can do some ad scheduling if you choose a lifetime budget, and then delivery is going to be set to standard. So now let's hop into the format of ads you can use for reach campaigns. Just like with a brand awareness campaign, the only 2 formats available here are carousel and then the single image or video. Yes, those can be turned into slideshows, but we don't have the collection ability here. The rest of the tracking is going to be set up exactly the same like a normal Facebook ad. So let's hop into just the best use cases and a couple of downfalls for the reach campaign type. Overall, local businesses that have a wide appeal are probably going to do the best with a reach campaign. You can target a really defined area and then kind of mass advertise to them. So it would kind of be almost if you are a gas station in a small town, something like that. Almost everybody in that small town probably has to get gas at some point, and you can kind of blanket message everybody in that local area. Or, like we talked about, remarketing. This is a great way to remarket to a list of users that you already know has engaged with you. Depends on their level of engagement and kind of how qualified they are, but you can then set frequency capping to make sure that you don't oversaturate them by advertising to them all the time in the way that you don't have that control in the other campaign objectives. The biggest downfalls here are that they don't really take further engagement into account. It's really just trying to get impressions in front of people, and they're not trying to find higher value audiences to serve ads to. Again, it's going to try and serve ads to everybody, literally everybody in your target audience. So it's not really using any of that Facebook machine learning that we've all come to know and love. So we've covered the awareness portion of the funnel that Facebook has outlined here. So we've covered the 2 campaign types here, brand awareness and reach. Now let's hop into the type of campaigns that Facebook thinks are best for this middle stage or the consideration stage. And the first one they have available is traffic. The goal of a Facebook traffic campaign is to send more people to a destination such as a website, app, or messenger conversation. And just like the other 2 that we saw, you can create an A/B test or use campaign budget optimization if you like. So now let's hop into the ad set settings and talk about how those are different for this campaign type versus the other 2 that we've already discussed. The first thing you choose at the ad set level is the destination for your traffic. Are you trying to send people to a website, app, Facebook Messenger, or WhatsApp? There are a lot of different options here, so choose the one that makes the most sense for you. A couple things that we're going to gloss over. Traffic campaigns allow you to use dynamic creative as well as offers. I don't have time to go into those today, so just keep in mind you can use both of those for traffic campaigns. You then get to set up your audience in the exact same way you would for most other campaigns. Once we get into placements, all of them will be available for a traffic campaign. So you'll notice that all of them are selected. There's nothing that's going to be excluded there. So automatic placements will opt into all of those. And then once we get down to the budget and scheduling section, we can choose between a number of different optimizations within our campaign. Right now, this is defaulting to landing page views, which are probably going to be the ones that I suggest that you stick with, but you can also optimize for link clicks, impressions, and daily unique reach. If you want something closer to like a brand awareness top of funnel, you can set up daily unique reach where they'll deliver the ad to users once a day. You can also try to optimize for impressions, try to get as many impressions out there as you can. This will not include a frequency cap, so you can oversaturate this audience pretty quick. Link clicks are a very popular option here, but I personally don't love them that much. If your website is slow, or if people are on a slow network, or if if people are just highly impatient, there are a number of scenarios where people can click on a link, not wait for the page to load fully, but you're still charged. They didn't get any benefit of being on your website. If your action is not going to be impressions or daily unique reach, I highly suggest that you stick with landing page views as your optimization action, which will basically mean that Facebook will try to optimize for a page view event using their pixel when somebody clicks on your ad. So it's going to wait until your page fully loads in the Facebook pixel fire so it knows that somebody got a landing page view. Once you've chosen what you want your ads to optimize for, you've got the cost control, budget and schedule just as normal. And down here in the show more options, we've got the same when you're charged, ad scheduling, and delivery type. None of these are editable because of other settings that we have in here, but those are available if you change some things around a bit. And then let's hop into ad formats that are available for traffic campaigns. This is the first campaign type that's allowing us to use a few different ad formats. We can use carousel, single image or video, collection, as well as an instant experience. We still have that option. We can also use dynamic ad formats and creatives within a traffic campaign. So this is a little bit of an upgrade from some of the other options we have, and you can get a little bit more customized with what your ad looks like. The rest of the tracking, media, text, all that stuff will be exactly the same as the rest of the campaign types. So let's hop into a couple use cases and downfalls for a traffic campaign. Traffic campaigns can be a great fit if you're trying to build audiences of people coming to your website, just trying to get people to engage so you can use them maybe on other platforms or just trying to get more user experience through the site. It's also really good for longer buying cycles. If we're trying to find kind of a conversion action campaign, but maybe the buyer cycle is just so long that it doesn't feed back into Facebook quick enough, traffic can still be a good way to get users to the site without having to optimize. Or if you just have like ungated content, almost like, a YouTube channel that talks about paid advertising all the time. Traffic would be a great option here. You're just trying to get people somewhere so they can engage with your actions, and it doesn't necessarily matter what the specific actions are because you know that you're providing value and that they're going to be able to engage at a pretty high rate. The downfall of that is it's not always a good thing to just have lots of volume. You really would want somebody to watch more videos, read more blogs, engage with your site more. So volume isn't always a good thing, and there's not really any other actions to optimize on aside from kind of that landing page view piece. That's kind of the furthest down the funnel you can get. If there's something else that you want to optimize for that's more specific, you might want to choose a different campaign type. The second campaign type in the consideration portion of the campaign objectives are engagement campaigns. And these are going to be the most customizable at this very beginning stage of all of the campaign objectives that we have on Facebook. So the first thing is that what an engagement campaign does, just like a lot of these others, is pretty self-explanatory, is to get more people to see and engage with your post or page on Facebook. So this can include comments, shares, likes, event responses, and offer claims. Any of those actions, kind of those on-site engagement actions on Facebook, are what an engagement campaign is going to optimize for. You'll see that there are some different options here. So post engagement, page likes, and event responses. I'm going to take a little bit of time and we're going to go through each of these and show you what these look like. So the first is post engagement. This is trying to get somebody to engage with an individual post that you have on your Facebook page. So again, we still have the same create A/B test, campaign budget optimization. Now let's go into the ad set section. Audiences can be controlled in the same way that they can for all other campaign types. The first thing I want to point out is that placements, when you choose manual placements, you'll notice that Audience Network and Messenger are excluded. That's because we're trying to get people to engage with an individual post, and Messenger and Audience Network are not conducive to that. If we continue to scroll down, we'll see that there are a handful of placements that are completely excluded, like stories, search. Those don't make sense for this ad unit type. So keep in mind that you're going to be on a limited number of placements with a post-engagement campaign. Then as we scroll down to budget and schedule, you can see that the optimization for ad delivery is selected on post engagement. You can change this to be impressions or daily unique reach if you like, but that sort of defeats the purpose of having this type of campaign. So I suggest you leave it as post engagement. And then all of the rest of the options are going to be the same. Cost control, budget and scheduling, when you get charged, ad scheduling, delivery type, all that same stuff is going to be exactly like it is everywhere else. So let's hop into what the ad units look like here. Once you've chosen the identity or Facebook page that you're going to be promoting a post from, Facebook is automatically going to default you to this use existing post section because that's what you're trying to do, trying to get more engagement on an individual post. You can then choose a post from the select post section and it'll bring up this pop-up. You can choose from a certain Facebook page, the Instagram account, or the branded content sections. Whichever one you have available, you can look through the list here and find which one makes the most sense for you. You can also enter a post ID. So we do have another video to show you how to do this this, we've got it linked up there in the top, the little gray box that just popped up. If you know the post ID, you can enter that here, hit submit, and Facebook will pre-populate all of the pieces from that post that you've already created. You do have the option as well to create a brand new post from this section. So even though it defaulted us to use existing post, we can click this plus button and Facebook will open up a normal post box here so we can start to create a brand new post that we want to promote in this campaign. Once you're finished with that, even though this is an existing post, we can adjust the tracking to be a little bit more customized. So I'm going to scroll down real quick. And you can still add URL parameters to a post engagement campaign, even if your existing post that you're trying to use does not have URL parameters. We've got another video, it just popped up in that gray box at the top, and you can set up different dynamic custom parameters that you want for this campaign. So just because you've already set things up doesn't mean that you can't now track this for the UTM parameters that you would normally use for paid campaigns. Okay, so let's hop back to the beginning and talk about the page engagement optimization action. So to optimize for page likes, just select that from the middle section here. Everything in this area stayed the same, but we did end up seeing a little bit of a change over here in the ad set and ad sections. So let's hop into the page portion here. The first thing you'll be prompted to do is choose which Facebook page you want to optimize for. Choose from the drop-down if the one that you want isn't already selected. Audiences can be set up exactly the same way as most other campaigns, but placements shows quite a bit of a difference for this page engagement action versus a lot of the other campaigns we have available. So let's hop in there. If we head over and choose manual placements to open this up, you'll see that the only option available is Facebook. Instagram, Messenger, Audience Network are all not selected, and the only placement that is actually checked here is the Facebook newsfeed. So it's important to keep in mind that these page engagement ads will only show up in the Facebook newsfeed. They will not show up anywhere else. So if that's a problem, this might not be the right action for you. Let's go ahead and choose automatic placements. And then down here in the budget and schedule section, you can see that it's going to optimize your ads for page likes because that's the action that we want to have in here. All of the rest of the options that we have available here are the same. And same thing for the when you get charged, ad scheduling and delivery type, but you'll notice that this is actually blue this time. So you can change when you get charged for a page like engagement campaign, and you can opt to be charged for each individual page like. So rather than having a CPM basis, you're kind of a CPPL bidding option, which is too many letters. So let's just leave it as cost per impression for now. Then heading into the ad creative section, once you've chosen the page you want to use, you'll notice that the only format we can use is the single image or video. There's no carousel, no collection, and remember this will only show up in the Facebook newsfeed. So this is a very limited option when it comes to ad format and ad placement. But if you're trying to drive page likes, this is definitely going to be the best option for you. The rest of the media, text, tracking, all that stuff is the same. So let's hop back up and look at the last engagement type, which is event engagement. So from this list over here, pretty simple. I'm going to choose event responses. All the rest of this stayed the same. We did see some changes again over here on the ad set and ad unit level. So let's go ahead and hop into the ad set targeting. Audience creation is all the same as it would be for any other regular campaigns that you have on Facebook. Again, highly customizable. When we look at the placements that are available, we'll notice that this one is also very restricted compared to a lot of the other pieces that we have. No audience network, no messenger, no Instagram. This time we do have a couple more options here. So if we look at the ones chosen, we see Facebook newsfeed, Facebook marketplace, and that's it. So there are only two options here. So it's one more than what we saw for the page likes, but it is still very restricted for these event response engagement ads. I'm going to select this back to automatic placements. And then in the budget and schedule section, we've got a drop down here of what we can optimize our ad delivery for. So again, event response is going to be the default option, but we can use impressions, daily unique reach, and then there is post engagement that's available here as well. So trying to get more people to engage on this event action that you have at the lowest cost. But since we want to have this actually be an event response optimization, we're going to leave it as that for now. You can then set up cost controls, budget and schedule just like you normally would, and we can open up the hidden options down here, and you'll see that all of these are grayed out because again, all of our settings are limiting what we can get charged for running ads and standard delivery. So now let's hop into the ad creation itself. Event response ads are also very limited in terms of the format. We can only use single image or video ads that are available. We can choose the media that we want. We can set up any of the different primary text. The biggest thing here is that you will need to have a Facebook event set up to be able to use this type of campaign. Again, I know I've been doing this a lot. We do have an event ads video that just popped up in the upper portion of this video, so check that out if you need to know how to set up an event ad, but you will need to have one of those set up to use an event engagement response. Once you're finished with that, you can set up the tracking however you need to down here at the bottom. Make sure you've got your Facebook pixel. You can use URL parameters just like you would on anything else. So now let's talk about some good use cases and potential downfalls of these engagement campaign objectives. Social proof is a huge piece of engagement campaigns and trying to get in front of your target audience on Facebook. First of all, Facebook rewards you for having engaging ads, people who either comment, like, share, whatever it is. They reward those ads by getting kind of out further in front of people anyway. But then the social proof aspect of it is that if somebody on Facebook sees that other people they know or just a large number of people have liked or commented or shared on a post, they're probably at a higher likelihood to engage with it as well. Kind of engagement begets engagement, if you will. It also helps you build in-channel remarketing audiences because you can build audiences in Facebook based on how people engage with you, whether they commented on a post, if they like your page. All of those actions let you create audiences in Facebook already. The problem is that you're going to get engagement out of these campaigns, whether it's good engagement or not. Just because somebody commented doesn't mean that they said nice words in that comment. We've all seen the angry comments on our Facebook ads or people engaging with them but giving like the angry face, whatever it is. Engagement isn't always good. Keep in mind that you need to make sure that whatever engagement you're getting, that has the benefit of getting out in front of other people, but they're also going to see if other people are mad at you for what they're doing. So if they write a rage comment, that's going to then be shared to their network and other people are going to see that they rage commented. Engagement begets engagement, and negative engagement can beget negative engagement. Moving on down the list of this consideration stage of the buyer funnel, we're now at app installs campaign objective. So what Facebook is going to try to do here is send people to the App Store where they can download your app. So if you have an app, this could be a great option to test out. Just make sure that you've got all of your tracking set up in place. So again, we can do creative testing, campaign budget optimization, but this one has a lot of different pieces around the ad set because we have to choose lots of different actions for the apps as opposed to some of the higher funnel engagement actions that we've already talked about. So let's hop in there. The first thing you're going to do is choose your app that you want to promote. This account does not have an app, so it's not going to pop up, but you can choose which store you want to use. Each of these different ad sets can only target one store at a time. So if you want to target people on Google Play Store, iTunes, Windows, whatever it is, choose the specific store you want to use first, and you can enter the app name or the exact URL if you have that available to help find it. Once you do that, Facebook will populate the list of apps available to promote. You click your app and then you'll be all set. For the app install campaign types, you can use dynamic creative and you can engage with a catalog if you have one available, if that makes sense. All of the audience setup is going to be the same as it will everywhere else. Then it'll be highly customizable to whatever you want it to be. The placements are going to be a little bit different. So let's open up manual placements here. And now, unlike a couple of the campaign types we've just seen, all of the options are open here. We can target people on Facebook, Audience Network, Messenger, and Instagram. There are going to be some of the options here that don't have checkboxes next to them, like the Facebook Marketplace is not available, right column, Messenger inbox, but there are still a lot of options that are available. So you get quite a lot more options available with an app install campaign. And then there's also this show more options down here as well. So you can adjust some of these different filters if you want to, simply by hovering over them. So if you want to exclude skippable ads, you can change whether you want to do that or not. You can also change if you want to exclude certain content and publishers by clicking edit. And you can include certain devices or operating systems and trying to decide if you want to target people only when they are connected to Wi-Fi. So if you want to change all of those settings, you can easily do that from this section here. For right now, I'm just going to close this. The last thing we can do is set up budget and schedule. Ad delivery optimization is the first piece here. Right now it's defaulting to link clicks, but I would highly suggest that you choose a different option as we talked about earlier. I don't love link clicks because there are some pitfalls there, but you can optimize for app installs, again, link clicks, app events, or value. This account doesn't actually have an app tied to it, but the different actions here are really impactful. This is the only campaign type where you can optimize for app installs as compared to some of the other later campaign objectives that we'll get into, like conversions, where you can still optimize for in-app events. You can use those here as well if you want to use an app install campaign but actually optimize for something further down the funnel. Let's say you have a free trial of your app and then there's a paywall after that. You can set up events in your app by having a action fire for an app install, then one fire for a trial start, and then one fire for subscription started. Something along those lines. And you can optimize for those different actions, either trial start or subscription start, as opposed to just app install. So this is kind of like using custom event tracking to optimize for your app campaigns. And then again, you can also optimize for value. So if you have values tied to those different actions, you can also optimize for value associated with them. You can then set up your cost control, budget and schedule, show more options down here. We can start to edit what we are charged for. So you can be charged for a link click as opposed to impressions if you want to be on a CPC model compared to CPM basis. Lastly, let's hop into the ad formats for an app install campaign. App install campaigns take us a bit back to some of the ones that we saw earlier. The formatting is a little bit limited. We can only use carousel and single image ads. You do still have the option to add the instant experience if you want. You can use an existing post if you already have one available. The rest of the media, text, links, all that kind of stuff is going to be set up exactly the same as you would for any other campaign. The last little bit is going to be tracking. And I just want to point out that here you can see that we have our pixel available, but we don't have any of the URL fields here because we're sending somebody to an app instead. You'll want to make sure that you have all of the app tracking set up as well, so we can customize for different actions and make sure that we're tracking everything appropriately in this campaign type. So the best use cases for app install campaigns are if you're trying to get people to, install your app or do any of the in-app events. Like I said, this is the only campaign type that allows you to optimize for app installs. So if you're really just trying to get people on the platform and then you're going to optimize with in-app experiences later, this is the action for you. If you want to also try and optimize and have Facebook find people that are going to convert on your in-app experiences down the funnel, whether it's sign up for that free trial, sign up for that subscription, you can optimize for all of those and let Facebook kind of lean into the different actions that you have. If you don't have enough volume for those lower funnel in-app events, that can be a bit of an issue. But for the most part, app installs are a pretty great campaign type. There's not huge downfalls unless you're just targeting the complete wrong audience with this campaign type. The next campaign objective is video views. I like video views quite a bit. I think it's a great way to get in front of your target audience. And the description that Facebook uses is honestly a little bit more focused at the advertiser as opposed to what Facebook is going to do. But it says to promote videos that show behind the scenes footage, product launches, or customer stories to raise awareness about your brand. So effectively, just like the name says, it's going to try to show your video to people. So you can still set up an A/B test or use campaign budget optimization if you like. Now let's hop into the ad set settings. You'll see the first thing we have is this little blue box here telling us that through play optimization is selected, which we'll get to that in just a minute. All the audience setup for video view campaigns are the same as all the other campaigns. You have all the options available. So taking a look at placements, we do have a lot more options in the placement section here. So opening up manual placements, you'll see that all of the platforms are selected. So we've got Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, and Audience Network. There are only a few that are not checked, like right-hand column, Messenger inbox. There are a few further down the list. But for the most part, we have the ability to target all of the placements on the Facebook network with video views campaigns. The last section I have here is budget and schedule. And this is, again, that same blue box that it's talking about. You can optimize your ad delivery for a couple different things on video view campaigns. Through play, let's get a definition of this, will deliver your ads to help you get the most completed video view plays if the video is 15 seconds or shorter. For longer videos, this will optimize for people most likely to play at least 15 seconds. The other option is 2-second continuous views. Will deliver your ads to get the most video views of 2 continuous seconds or more. Most 2-second continuous video views will have at least 50% of the video pixels on screen. The long and the short of these two options is that the longest optimization window Facebook is going to give you for video views is 15 seconds. If your video is 15 seconds or shorter, it'll optimize for an entire play. If your video is longer than 15 seconds, it's really going to stop optimizing for anything longer than 15 seconds. seconds. I would honestly pretty much always suggest that you optimize for through play. 2-second continuous video views, promising you that at least 50% of the video pixels on screen will be shown, honestly seems like a really terrible option to me. I would always suggest that you use through play no matter how long your video view is. As you can see here, we used to have a 10-second video view, but that's no longer available, so we can't use that anymore. You can then set up your cost control, budget, and schedule just like you normally would. You can start to adjust when you are charged. Again, just like we did for page likes, you can opt to pay for a through play, which is effectively a 15-second view of your video as opposed to just a single impression of your video. Keep in mind that you can have a bit of a CPV model as opposed to a CPM model in video view campaigns. Lastly, let's check out the ad units that we have available here. For ad format, we only have a single video ad unit available for video view campaigns. You can still add an instant experience here, and there's also a second option, which is add a playable source file, which means you can use a playable ad to let people play an interactive demo before installing your app. So if you have an app that you want to promote and you don't want to use the app installs campaign, you can use a video views campaign to give people a live demo, an interactive demo of what your app would be like beforehand. Keep that in mind, that is available in the video views campaign type. Once you're finished with that, media, text links, all that kind of stuff is all the same as it would be on any of the other campaign types that we have on Facebook. The best uses for video views campaigns are going to be if you have a video that you've put together that isn't necessarily meant to drive further down the funnel conversion actions from the start. If you're trying to introduce a product or a complex service to somebody and a video is the best way to do it, which video has a lot of engagement on Facebook, people watch a lot of videos, this can be a really good campaign type to utilize to get more views on that. You can then create audiences based on the type of video that people watched, how much of the video they watched. You can even create specific playlists of maybe you have 3 videos that are very similar, and if people watched 50% or more, you consider them all equally qualified. You can create those type of remarketing funnels with your video campaigns, and starting off by having them watch a video view through this video view campaign is a great way to kick that off. The bigger downfalls about that, I know I just said a lot of people watch videos on Facebook, and they definitely do, but 85% of them don't have any sound. Make sure that you're trying to optimize your video so that if somebody watches it without the volume on, it's still digestible. And again, 15 seconds is the longest optimization point that Facebook will focus on. If you have a video that's longer for that, just know that it's only going to optimize for a 15-second view. The next campaign type is also one of my favorite kinds. I know I have 3 favorites. You're going to just have to deal with me on this. It's going to be what it is. But we're going to talk about lead generation campaigns. And we actually have another video around full lead generation campaign setup if you want to get really nitty-gritty in the weeds. So that just popped up in the upper portion of the video box. But for now, just a quick overview. What lead generation campaigns let you do is you can collect lead information from people interested in your business directly from Facebook. The user doesn't have to go to your website and fill out your form. They can fill out a form directly in the Facebook interface, send it to you, and then that can either be saved by Facebook for you to download later, or that can be automatically sent to your CRM through some integrations. So you've just generated a lead without the user ever having to come to your website. You can still set up an A/B test or campaign budget optimization like normal. So let's take a look at the ad set level. Once you've chosen the page or identity that you want this lead generation ad to come from, you can set up a dynamic creative piece. You can also utilize a catalog if you have that available. All of the audience setup is going to be, again, the same builder that we see in pretty much all of the different campaign types, so I'm going to skip over that. But looking at the placements that are available for lead generation ads, this is another one of those type of units that is very particular, so it only shows up in select places. Audience network, messenger are not available, and you'll see that there are a number of different checkboxes missing here. So video feeds, right column, messenger inbox, messenger stories. There are quite a few that you will not show up in simply because of the user experience with lead gen forms. If you're interested in that, just know that you're not going to show up on literally every placement. If you have automatic placement selected, you're only going to show up on those that are eligible for lead gen forms. Then lastly, down in the budget and scheduling section, the ad optimization is going to be for leads, and you cannot change this. It's going to only optimize for the number of leads that you can get on the campaign. You can then set up regular cost control, budget and schedule, and then the additional settings down here of when you're charged, ad scheduling, delivery type, all of those are going to be the same. So let's hop into the ad itself. Again, once you've chosen the identity or the page that it is going to come from, the formats available for this are only carousel and single image or video. A lot of this has to do with the type of placements it's going to show up in because of the lead form that is going to be associated here. So then you'll set up your media, text and links just the same you would with any of the other ad units, but there is one additional piece, and that's this instant form section. So let's take a look there. This account does not have any forms set up, so this is where you would set up that lead gen form itself. It will look different if you already have some leads available in the lead library, but this is where you'll set up effectively your lead generation form. You'll get to choose what different text fields you want. You can customize a privacy policy. You can add a different image if you want to, and you can change the landing page that somebody will be sent to once they've converted on this lead generation action. So it is highly customizable, and if you're still interested and missed the link the first time, we do have the link to the lead generation campaign set up in the show notes if you want to check that out. The best use cases for lead generation campaigns are ones that pay attention to their call to action and the audience that they're targeting. Keep your call to action or your offer relatively low stakes for a prospecting audience. Maybe you are just trying to reach out to a new group to get newsletter signups or a white paper download, something really easy that they're not intimidated to fill out. But then you can use some of those further down the funnel actions like demo request or maybe speak to a salesperson for some of those warmer audiences. The worst case scenario I see is when people try to use those very bottom funnel call to action for somebody who is a cold lead just in a very brand new prospecting audience. That's going to be a mismatch, and you're probably not going to see great returns. And if you do see returns, that's going to lead into one of the downfalls I have. If you do see returns on that type of mismatch between a really cold audience and a really bottom funnel call to action, is that that person's probably going to be relatively low quality. Almost every lead generation campaign I've ever run starts off by us seeing a smattering of high quality and low quality leads coming through. So if you start to see those low quality leads in your initial first few days of your campaign, don't panic too much. There are lots of optimizations you can make to make them more specific. So this is a very typical thing, but that is one of the downsides. The other downside is that you don't really have any website engagement. We can create audiences based off of people who get to different stages of that lead generation form, just like you would for engagement campaigns, but you're not going to actually have anybody come to your website unless you send them to a landing page after they fill out the form. If you need somebody to come to your website to have additional value, this is not going to be the campaign type for you. Closing out this middle consideration section of the campaign objectives list are messages campaigns. For this campaign type, Facebook is going to get more people to have conversations with your business in Messenger, WhatsApp, or Instagram Direct to complete purchases, answer questions, or offer support. So what you're trying to do is start a conversation with people on your platform of choice to try and get users to engage with you and take the next step in whatever action that you want. Just like all the others, we have the option to do a split test or campaign budget optimization, but the ad set settings here are quite a bit different than some of the others, as I'm guessing you can imagine, since this is a very different type of engagement that you have on the platform. So let's hop in there. The first thing we're going to do is choose our destination. So here's where we have the high-level choice between Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, or Instagram Direct. So choose which platform you want. But then within Facebook Messenger specifically, you can choose a couple different options. The first is click to Messenger, and that will send people from ads in Facebook, Instagram, or Messenger into Messenger conversations. So during this campaign setup process, you will create both the ad and the message that people will see in Messenger. So this is a great option for people that haven't engaged with you yet. They don't have a conversation going with you in Messenger at this point. So you want to serve them an ad and start the conversation in Facebook Messenger. The second type is going to be a sponsored message. And I want you to think of this as more of a remarketing campaign through Messenger. With a sponsored message type, you're going to send only a targeted message to people who have an existing conversation with you in Messenger going already. So if you're trying to re-engage conversations, kind of reignite them, sponsored message is the way to go. Once you've chosen your option there, all of the audience settings, all that sort of thing will be the same. So let's hop down to placements. And now we can see when we optimize for manual placements, there are going to be a couple that are excluded. So there's no audience network here, and there are some that are unchecked, but for the most part, we've got the major platforms available for message ads. You'll be able to target a lot of those different options there. And then down in the budget and schedule section, the ad delivery is going to optimize by default for conversations, but you can change it to leads because you can generate leads through these message ads, which is in the ad unit section, which we'll get to here in just a second. So make sure you're choosing the optimization action that you want here. Are you trying to drive leads, or are you just trying to have conversations with people. Once you've chosen that, bid control, budget and schedule, again, all the same sort of thing here. And all of these different advanced options down at the bottom are grayed out. So let's hop into the ad section. Once we've chosen the page identity, you can see that we only have carousel and single image or video ads available for messages ad objectives. The media and ad setup are going to be the same, so you get to choose your images, you get to choose your text, all that sort of thing. But just like with the lead gen ads, the next piece is going to be very customized. So this is the message template section. Here's where you'll start to create the conversations that you'll have with your target audience in Messenger. So again, you can choose to start conversations or generate leads. Either one of these you'll have to create from scratch. You can use this to suggest topics or questions, chat with everyone interested in your ad, and reach people most likely to chat. For generate leads, you'll try to ask questions with an automated chat with qualified leads, or reach people most likely to complete your questions and get through to the end. So both of these, again, you'll have to go through a creation process. There are some advanced setup pieces we can do here. And when you do that, it opens up this huge advanced setup window that is way too much to go into today, but just know that this does have the option to be very highly customized for your Messenger ad unit. Once you've X'd out of that, all of the tracking setup, URL parameters are all the same as most of the other campaign types. So now let's talk about a good couple of use cases and some downfalls for messages campaign objectives. Sweepstakes or competitions or some type of like open-ended question is a really great way to get people to engage with message campaigns. If you're trying to do some sort of prospecting, give this brand new person who's never engaged with you before a reason to be willing to have a message chat pop up with your business. It's not always a natural flow if they've never engaged with you before, so make sure it's worth it. Maybe offer them something in return. Again, competitions can be great for this. Or it's always good to reignite conversations with previous customers if you want to kind of get that going again. This can be a really easy way to do that. The biggest downfall is going to be the time that it takes to set up or man this type of campaign. You either need to have a bot put together, either that you custom coded or that you used a tool. There are plenty of tools out there. Or you need to have somebody manning the computer all the time to make sure that any of the messages coming in are being answered. Otherwise, you're effectively just driving people into an empty void, and that's a terrible user experience. So make sure you either have a bot that will answer them or you have a person that's going to be there to respond to people's messages. Okay, so we've closed out the awareness and consideration campaign objectives sections. Now let's get into the last one and talk about conversion. I think this is where most people probably use most of the campaign types, and that's fine, but hopefully by now you've at least understood some of the other options that are available, and maybe some of them are going to be a better fit for you than you thought they were just by the initial inclinations that you had based on Facebook's write-up. So let's hop into the first one, which I think is probably the most common campaign type. I know I've said I already have two other favorites. This is my last one. It's conversions. There are lots of ways that we can customize this, and I think it's a really powerful campaign type. Facebook's rundown of a conversions campaign is to get people to take valuable actions on your website, app, or in Messenger, such as adding payment info or making a purchase. Use the Facebook pixel or app events to track and measure conversions. So that already has one really big takeaway, is that you have to have tracking set up for this. You have to have the Facebook pixel in place. Otherwise, conversion campaigns are not going to be the right option for you. If for whatever reason you cannot add the Facebook pixel to your site, the closest campaign type you're going to get is traffic. But again, you'll remember I said that landing page views is the best option for that one, and it needs the Facebook pixel to know if somebody saw your landing page. Hopefully that was a circular argument to tell you that if you can't or don't have your Facebook pixel added to your site, get it installed anyway. It's highly important that it's there because it'll give you a lot more options to advertise on the platform. So we can still set up a split test, use campaign budget optimization. So now let's head into the ad set, and the first thing we're going to do is choose the conversion action that we want to optimize for. Just like with Messenger and some of the other actions, we get to choose a destination first if we want to send people to a website, an app, Messenger, or WhatsApp. We then get to choose what ad delivery we want all the way up here in the conversion section. The optimization for ad delivery is not in budget and schedule like it is for every other campaign type. That lives up here. So if we can choose from this drop down, we can choose conversions, which we have available, value, which is grayed out because we don't have conversion value being imported into this account. But if you have value set up, you can basically start to optimize for the highest value conversion actions that you have available. You can also optimize for landing page views and other options. So as you can already tell, this one has the most customizable ad delivery optimization, because you can also still optimize for link clicks, impressions, and daily unique reach if you want. But I'm going to leave it as conversions because that's why I chose this campaign. Once you've chosen your ad delivery optimization piece, you then get to choose the conversion action you want to optimize for. And right now, Facebook has added the add to cart as the default action. But if you want to change that, you can click this X, and Facebook will open up a list of all of the actions you have available. Active ones, which are going to have a green dot next to them, or inactive ones, which have a red dot, and you cannot use those for a conversion action. So let's talk a little about what we would use to select the conversion action that we want here. So by default, Facebook added the add to cart action. But let's say you want to optimize for purchase. That's what we all want, right? Is somebody to be able to actually make a sale on our website. This is a great option, and you can choose purchase if you have enough volume coming through your campaigns each week. And by that, I mean that Facebook suggests that you have 50 conversion actions per ad set per 7-day period, so per week, to optimize on. So if you don't have that many purchases, it might make sense to select a different conversion optimization action that is further up the funnel, maybe an initiate checkout or add to cart, something that has more volume available, because Facebook needs to have a decent amount of data to use its algorithm, use its machine learning to know who it should serve ads to, because it's going to try and serve ads to the people that are more likely to take the action that you've set out here. So it is important that you choose one that has enough volume, even if it might not necessarily be the entire end action that you want people to take. So for now, I'm actually going to go ahead and just leave this as add to cart for the example. You can then set up the cost control. But one thing I do want to talk about is in this show more options piece is the conversion window that's associated here. We have a video that does talk about Facebook attribution windows, and this is something to keep in mind because it is very important. The default attribution window is going to be 7 days after a click and 1 day after a view. So if somebody clicks on your ad and then 3 days later they eventually convert on your website, Facebook is going to claim credit for that. If they have an ad impression on any device and then they convert on your website the next day within 24 hours, Facebook will also claim credit for that. So it really is important what your attribution model is here as to what your conversion numbers are going to be. We just talked about the importance of choosing the right conversion action that has enough volume. That also will be impacted by this attribution window that you select. As you can see, the little link here is blue, so you can customize this for whatever you want. You can change it to anything from this drop down. So you can say only include in my conversions if somebody clicked an ad, whether it's a 1-day click or a 7-day click, or you can also choose after clicking and viewing an ad. So 1-day click or view, or the default that it has, which is the longest, which is 7 days click or 1-day view. You can change the account level attribution setting if you want to. That's for the other video, but just keep in mind that this attribution model does matter the amount of volume that you're going to get to this ad set and how well Facebook's going to be able to optimize for the action that you've chosen. Okay, so I think that's enough caveats for that section. Let's talk about some of the other pieces that we have in here. For conversion action campaigns, you can utilize dynamic creative. You can also utilize offers. The audience section is going to be all the same, just as it would in any of the other sections that we have available. And then looking at placements, conversion objective campaigns will use all of the platforms and will have nearly all of the placement options selected here. So there's only a few that are missing, and that's messages and then into the Facebook Messenger inbox. So just keep in mind that those two aren't going to be available, but for the most part, you're going to be across the entire Facebook and Instagram network using a conversion campaign type. Then lastly, you can set your budget and schedule. And in the show more options section, again, you can change your ad scheduling and delivery type if you change some of the other settings that you have available. And then lastly, looking at the ad formats that we have for conversion objectives. Here we have pretty much all of the format types available. So we can set up a dynamic format in creative. You can use carousel, single image or video, collection ads, and you can use that instant experience if you want to. All the rest of the media, text and links, languages, all that good stuff is going to be pretty similar to the vast majority of campaigns we've already seen today. The best use cases for conversion campaigns are going to be when you have some sort of custom on-site action that you want to drive volume for that has plenty of volume available. I know we already talked about the caveats around the volume in here. Just make sure that you have enough of those actions happening on your site. And it doesn't always have to be something that is as specific as a conversion. It doesn't have to be a purchase. Remember, it can be an add to cart. It can be view content. Any of the custom events that you can set up on Facebook, you can have be as conversion actions. The bigger downfalls here, again, are around having low conversion volume. If you don't have any conversion volume coming through, this is going to be a really bad option for you. And it can have higher cost per clicks than some of the other campaigns because Facebook is trying to optimize to those very specific actions. And make sure, just like we have to do with the lead generation campaigns, make sure that you have a good match of your call to action and the funnel position that the audience is in. Don't be trying to do a demo request or very bottom funnel call to action with a brand new prospecting audience if it's going to be something that's too high of a price for them to pay at the beginning, because you won't have enough volume and then that'll lead right back into the problems we just talked about. The second option in this conversion portion of our objectives is catalog sales. And what Facebook is going to do is going to create ads that automatically show items from your catalog based on your target audience. So that's already pretty telling that you have to have a Facebook product catalog to use catalog sales. And if you do have one and you haven't tried this campaign type, I highly suggest you give it a shot. So the first thing is you'll choose your product catalog if you have more than one. You can still set up a split test, campaign budget optimization, but the first thing that we're going to do is choose which products to advertise. So when we head into the ad set section, first thing again is products. You can choose from a drop-down whether you want to use a specific product set, if you want to use all products that are available, or if you want to create a new product set. I don't have time to go into all of that today, but just know that this can be a very highly customized section of which products from your catalog you show in this specific ad set. You can get very custom with that. You can use offers in these campaign types. And then the audience section, this is the first time where anything looks a bit different than it has for all of the other campaigns that we have on Facebook. The first thing you're going to do is choose whether you want to retarget people who've already interacted with your products on or off Facebook, or if you want to find prospective clients that have not interacted with you before. And this builder is going to default you to retarget, which this is going to effectively be the dynamic product remarketing that a lot of people utilize on Facebook. So this is a great option to re-engage with users who have already seen certain items in your products and then engage with them in a way that makes sense based on what they've seen. Let's take a look at these different retargeting options that are available here. Somebody who either viewed or added to cart but did not purchase, and then trying to send them an ad within the next certain amount of days after that. Somebody who added to cart but did not purchase. You can also upsell people. You can cross-sell different products, or you can come up with some sort of custom combination of all of those. And with each of these, except the custom combination, which you can customize later, there's a date range that allows you to choose how far out you want to re-advertise to somebody who has engaged with your products, who has engaged with your catalog in one way or another. If you want, you can then also choose this show more options section, and this will allow you to customize the audience within those remarketing audiences. So let's say you want to target only people who added to cart, but then you can also adjust the age, gender, detailed demographics, all of that sort of thing for that same audience. But this is also the same builder that we're going to see if we decide that we want to find prospective customers. If we choose this dial over here, it's going to take away all of those different retargeting options, and now we're going to be set up with the same builder that we've seen in all of the other campaigns. So just remember that the most specific, most customizable retargeting audiences based on your catalog are really powerful within this catalog sales campaign objective. We can then pop down to placements and check out what those look like. So in the manual placements, you'll be able to see that we can't target people on Messenger, but the other 3 platforms are available. Just like some of the other ones, there are going to be some that are missing. So video feeds not available, but most of them are going to be available for catalog sales. And then down in the budget and schedule section, now we can set up our ad delivery optimization. So it's going to default to link clicks, but you can change that to be anything from impressions to conversion events. And that basically includes serving ads to people more likely to take action when they see a product from your catalog. So if you want somebody to take action as opposed to just click, I highly suggest that you choose conversion events as the action that you have. You then get to customize which event type you want that to be. So just like when we talked about from the conversions campaign type, you can choose from this dropdown which action you want to optimize for. Maybe it is purchase, or maybe it's complete registration, or add to cart, or add to wish list. Whatever action you want to optimize for, all of the available ones will show up in this list and allow you to optimize for that with the ad delivery. You then have regular cost controls, budget and scheduling, and then down in this show more options section, we again have the ability to customize the conversion window based based on what the actions are here, so we can edit this to any of the different default settings that we want available. This campaign type, the catalog sales, is going to default to a 7 days click, not the 7-day click or 1-day view that conversion campaign types do. So just keep that in mind, but you can optimize this to whatever you want. And then the remaining settings down here are all the same. They're all grayed out unless you change some other setting to make those available to edit. So lastly, let's hop into the ad formats. The default format that it's going to select for you is dynamic formats and creative. So this is a great way to have Facebook optimize what your ad looks like to serve to people, get them to engage with the ad in the way that you want them to. Whatever your conversion action was that you set up, Facebook will try and get them to engage with that by adjusting the ad format specifically. You then change the media and the language and all that sort of thing based on the product catalog itself. So I'm not going to go through all of that today, but just know that there are a lot of custom pieces that you can add here, and you do get to choose information directly from the catalog to populate in your ad creative. So if we come down here, you can see that headline is product name, whereas you can change the different description to have different text in here just by clicking this button. You can choose that you want the name, brand, description, short description, price, whatever you want to populate in here. You can have that automatically populated by using these dynamic parameters that are available. But if you want to have more control, you can also turn off this dynamic piece. And now you'll have the option to do carousel, single image, or collection ads. And you can start to customize the catalog options for your ad creative. So just know that there are lots of different formats that are available for this catalog sales piece. And I would encourage you to check it out and see which one makes the most sense for you. Catalog sales are a great option if you have a large number of products available, or if you want to use dynamic remarketing. Leverage everything from that product catalog. You can even dynamically insert the name, the price, all that good stuff for the ad creative. This is really a time to kind of let Facebook shine and take the information out of your catalog, add it into your ads, and then re-engage with people in a very specific way. Again, cross-sell, upsell, what have you, or go out and prospect for new people with some of your more popular products. This can be a great way to get those catalog sales. It can have some higher CPCs, and low conversion volume can be a real issue because, again, Facebook needs that data to optimize on. So if you don't have lots of conversion volume coming through, this can be an issue. The final campaign objective that we're going to talk about today is store traffic. It's the third one in the conversion section of the list that Facebook has available here. And you can see that there is a warning down here due to COVID-19 that some of the settings in this store traffic campaign type might be a little bit different than normal. As we're going through this, just remember that if we're past the COVID-19 portion of life by the time you're watching this video, this could be a different setup than what you're seeing in yours. But the first thing you're going to have to do is choose the page that you want to have available, and then you can choose a campaign budget optimization budget type. You can choose that. But you'll notice here that there is no split test. There's no create A/B test option, so you can't do that with a store traffic campaign. But effectively what this campaign type is trying to do is drive foot traffic to your physical store locations. That's the main goal that we want to have here. And a lot of that control lives at the ad set level. So let's hop in there. The first thing you're going to do, just like most of these ad types, is choose the page that you want to promote, and you'll be able to see the number of stores that are available. This specific business that we're looking at only has one store. This actually is not going to be a good use case for a store visits campaign. The best use cases are going to be if you have multiple store locations, and probably if you're a really big, relatively well-known brand. Those are going to be the best options here, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But you're then going to choose the stores that you have available. So again, this one only has one, but just like with products, you can create a store set if you have a number of different stores. So just remember that there will be a difference between your page and the stores or the locations that you have available. You can set up offers within the store visit campaign type, and you do have the audience that's available here. One thing to keep in mind for this audience section is that this kind of matters what you put in here, because Facebook does have some metrics that are around store visits and engagement on the platform, but they're not available for all users. They admit that they're still in the works, they're still trying to figure them out, but if you don't have those metrics available in your account, if you don't see them anywhere, that means that this store visits campaign is going to act exactly like a reach campaign, meaning that it's going to try and serve your ads to literally everybody in the audience. If you know know that you do have those metrics available, then make your audience maybe a little bit more broad. You can give them a little bit more wiggle room because Facebook is going to try to optimize for those actions, those engagements. But if you don't have those metrics available in your account, that means that Facebook doesn't have those insights, and it's going to try and serve to everybody in this target audience. So you might want to be very specific with who you're setting up this audience with. Maybe don't have any wiggle room and only target people that you know are going to be very specific to your store and that will be actually interested in visiting your store. Hopping down to the placements section, we can take a look at what placements are available for store visits. We don't have Audience Network or Messenger available. We do have Instagram and Facebook are both here, but you'll see that there are a number of them that don't have options, some of these different placements. So there are limited numbers of placements available for store visit campaigns, but you still do have pretty good reach around the Facebook and Instagram networks. And then lastly, down here in the budget and scheduling section, you do get to choose what you want your ad delivery to optimize for. And again, you can see daily unique reach or store visit. This one's grayed out. And as you can see down here, there's the big blue box anyway. Store visits are unavailable. This setup that I told you already only had one store available, so it didn't make the most sense. But this store is also not eligible to utilize those metrics, which means that it is going to operate like a reach campaign. So instead of setting up a store visits, you might as well just set up a reach campaign if you decide that you do want to stick with that. You can then set up your bid and budget controls, and then you've got the advanced options down here that, again, just like most of the other ones, are blanked out. So let's close this out by looking at the different ad formats that we have available. I do want to talk about the identity section here, which I've been kind of glancing past on all of the other ones, but this one matters where it comes from. You're going to choose your Facebook page, Instagram account, and then the next piece here is ad voice. And this means where the ad is going to sound like it's coming from. You can choose your main page, which will effectively be your high-level business page, kind of your corporate page, or you can choose if you want it to come from your local pages. The biggest difference here is that local pages has all of the same controls available of the main page, except that you will not be able to use the send message action for a local page. So if you want to have somebody engage with your ad and then eventually send you a message through Facebook Messenger, you'll need to use main page. Otherwise, choose the one that makes the most sense for you. Choose whether you want to have the voice coming from this high-level central page, or if you want it to have it come from the regular stores themselves. Next, we can scroll down and see the formats that are available. So we can use carousel, single image, collection ads. We can add the instant experience. I do want to show some of this because it is a little bit different than some of the other ad units that we have available. So the first thing here is we can choose the media. You can either manually choose it, or you can fill the carousel cards dynamically from a product set. You can let Facebook choose for you if you don't want to make all the choices and have all the specific control that you've got here. You can then also change some of this additional information down here below by adding a card to the end of your page profile picture. You can add a map showing your closest stores. You can then choose the destination, whether you want somebody to go to a store locator, open the store in a map, or if you want them to go to a specific website URL, you can also have them do that. The last piece down here is this call to action section. So right now it's defaulted to get directions, but if you'll open this up, you do get to choose between a number of different touch points. And because I selected the main page at the top, I do get to choose the send message option here. And just like with the messaging campaign objective, you can decide to start conversations, generate leads. Everything in this builder is going to be exactly the same as the other campaign objective. Store traffic is a great campaign objective if you have a multi-location business or a larger chain, because it's more likely that you have some of those additional metrics that Facebook can optimize on for that specific store traffic. But if you don't, it also means that you can kind of overcome this downfall that your campaign will act like a reach campaign objective if you don't have those additional metrics. This best case scenario kind of overwrites the downfall, but if you don't fit that best case scenario, your campaign is effectively going to act like a reach campaign, and it's going to just serve ads to literally everybody it possibly can in the geo-targeted location, which again, this could be beneficial for you, but just keep in mind that you're not always going to be optimizing for that additional in-store offline metric. All right, I know that was a lot. Thanks for sticking with me through all of that. But as you can see, it doesn't matter if your goal is conversions, lead generation, store visits, or just general brand awareness. There's gonna be a campaign objective that's right for you, and hopefully I've made that a little bit clearer today. Thanks for watching our video. If you thought it was useful, give us a thumbs up below.
We release a new video at least once a week, so if you want to get notified of when a new one comes out, be sure to subscribe to the Paid Media Pros channel.